Was there an ISI mole in the Indian security apparatus? Someone who helped Lashkar-e-Taiba in planning 26/11. Author of a new book, The Siege, claims ISI's Indian mole Honeybee helped plan the terror attacks, and there were 10 locals who provided logistical support to David Headley.
Let me start straight away with the one part of your book that has grabbed the headlines here, and that is the argument that you and your co-author Kathy Scott Clark make that the Pakistanis and the ISI, to be specific, actually had an Indian mole here in the security establishment, and through this mole, Major Iqbal in Pakistan was actually able to give David Headley a classified Indian Army training manual that the terrorists were then able to use. What makes you believe that this is credible information? Because you could not actually ascertain the identity of the man you call or the woman you call Honeybee. We don't know much about who this Honeybee is. What makes you believe that Honeybee is real?
First of all, from what we can gather, it may not be that there was such a thing as a mole, some kind of double agent working inside the security establishment, but certainly what there was some kind of conduit that was working between national security circles, broadly speaking, in India, and Lashkar-e-Taiba in Pakistan. Now, how do we know that that may be the case? First of all, we know that because we interviewed lots of people within Lashkar-e-Taiba and subsequently within the investigators who probed the Lashkar attack. And some of the documentation that was recovered from the control room that Lashkar had created in Karachi included the houses, the operational bases used by the Fidayeen squad, the 10 men who set sail from Karachi to attack Mumbai, included materials, training materials, which was of the variety that would assist a military unit in understanding strategies for counter-hostage situations, top-down clearances inside an urban setting. And it was the kind of material that commando forces or special forces train on, and purportedly emanated from Indian settings. It was in both English and Hindi. Other people referred us to this too. We were told during our lengthy period of investigations by intelligence agencies, retired and serving in the Gulf states, in the UK and in Europe, that it was believed that there had been material taken from the military national security domain and passed to Lashkar-e-Taiba. How that happened, we found it impossible to find out.
But when you say Adrian, sorry to interrupt you. When you say that this person may not have been an actual mole but a conduit, and it could have been anybody in the larger security establishment, do you refer to the army? Do you refer to the police? Yeah. Do you identify which security agency this could be? Because the military papers that went across the border were the army training manuals, according to your book.
Yeah, I mean the material that seemed to turn up was counter-hostage material of the kind used by a specialist force like the National Security Guard. And if you have a closer reading of the NSG operation itself, which we've tried to give in the book for the first time by talking to numerous people who actually took part in the operation, you'll find out that at various points in the Taj siege in particular, the NSG was confronted by its own tactics. So, for example, when it was attempting to rout the Fidayeen squad, the 4 gunmen from inside the palace wing of the tower, they discovered that the squad was fully aware of how they mount room clearance, the method of entry, the method of blowing the doors, and they did things like muffle all the doors with mattresses.
Can I just interrupt you? May I just interrupt you there to ask you that you're actually saying that when the NSG found that many of its tactics that should have remained highly classified material were known to the 10 terrorists they were combating in the Taj, and this confirms your suspicion that there was somebody who had passed this on to the ISI, who then trained the terrorists in that template, in the template of the NSG.
Well, it's an interesting supportive notion that when you talk to the officers themselves who mounted the operation on the ground and to their supervisors, the senior officers who carried out the incredibly difficult operation, they noted that the defence put up was extremely tactical and of a military kind.